Ben, say your name.
So for today's lesson, we're gonna look at a poem. I would like you guys to get out your, you guys have like Chromebooks, laptops, notebooks,
Anything to write on.
anything to write on, yeah.
Maybe go back.
You want paper?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Sorry, you didn't bring
Right on the back.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I would like somebody to read the poem that is on the board. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe, how about,
Okay. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I all alone the to my outcast fate, and trouble death heaven with my fruitless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to wine more rich in hope, teacher like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope, with what I most enjoy contented least. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising, happily I think on thee and then my state, like to the lark at break of day arising from soul and earth sings Hymen at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembers such wealth brings, then I scorn to change my state with kings.
okay, wonderful, thank you very much. It's not an easy read, but you did a really good job with that. Okay, so, what poetry have you guys done, like, in English class this marking period? Like in the past few weeks?
I'm gonna ask people to close the Chromebooks, because right now there's no reason you should be on it. Sorry to overrule you, just wanna make sure we're getting everybody's fresh attention. He's asking you what book you're reading now, every hand should be up.
Yeah, what do you guys reading?
Poetry.
Okay.
What poetry have you done? Like poetry specifically? Go ahead.
Last year we did haikus.
You did haikus, cool. What have you done?
This year we were writing an essay about a book that we read earlier. So we read poems that on the New York Times.
Oh, you're New York Times poems. Awesome. So like contemporary poetry, haikus. Okay, great. So this is a poem by William Shakespeare. It's one of the sonnets, right? It's one of the sonnets. What do you guys notice about the rhyme scheme of this poem? So when you look at like the way it rhymes, right? When you look at the last word of each line and how they rhyme, what's the actual rhyme scheme here? Go ahead.
Every other line itself.
Wonderful, right. So that would be what, like, I stay, Christ's fate, right? A, B, right? Hope, possessed, scope, least, right? C, D. And then you have F, despising, stay at a rising gate, brings kings, right? G. So A, B, C, D, that's kind of like the rhyme scheme, right? Okay, I want all of you to read this poem one more time to yourselves. So it'll take like a minute for you to read this poem to yourself. Quiet. Good. Okay, are there any words here that you guys don't understand? Raise your hand if you don't understand a word. Yeah, go ahead.
I understand them, but I'm trying to pave the way for you guys right now. I would say hymns, the
Yes.
third line from the bottom.
Yes. That's a difficult one. Go ahead.
Well, I don't have a word. I was just gonna say I don't know what.
And what is it?
It's like a song.
So hymns are basically spiritual songs in Christianity, right? Mostly in like Protestantism, which is a branch of Christianity. They sing hymns in church, right? So it's a sort of song. It's a specifically religious song. Yes.
A lark and a line for the moon.
Wonderful. A lark is a bird. It's a small bird, and the lark was traditionally the bird of dawn, right? The lark would make a sound at dawn at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So it's associated with the sunrise in classical poetry. It's kind of like a rooster, yeah, but it's a more poetic form, right? It's like a more poetic way of saying, hey, look, the dawn is starting. Go ahead.
Second line from the top, believe.
Wonderful. You weep. Does anybody know what to weep means? When you weep, what are you doing? You cry, yeah. So I all alone we weep my outcast state. I'm basically crying alone, right? Go ahead.
Skull.
Yes.
Like,
Scope, wonderful.
you know,
These are great guys. Okay, scope. So that's purpose. So he lacks a sense of purpose, and he says that he wants to have a sense of purpose like these other people, that he wants to be more like. Yeah, go ahead.
The last slide where it says scorn.
Yes. That then I scorn to change my state with kings. I don't want to, right? When you scorn somebody, you don't like that person. If you scorn doing something, you don't want to do that thing, right? Go ahead. Solid, wonderful. These are all great. Kind of like sad, you know, like not a really happy place. Maybe like dirty, not very clean. It has a negative connotation. Okay, so what's the main idea of this poem, guys? What is he saying about himself, and what is he saying will bring him joy? Yes.
He's like very unhappy with himself,
Mhm.
and he wants to be like somebody else. He's
Yes.
describing it.
That's exactly right. He's unhappy with himself. How do you know he's unhappy with himself? What does he say? Go ahead.
So of all of them, you weep my outcast state.
He believes his outcast state. Yes.
And look upon myself and pierce my feet.
Wonderful. And after that, what does he say he wants to do? Go ahead.
I'm wishing me like the one more rich and hope. Featured like him with friends just as desiring this man's heart in that scope.
With what I most enjoy, contented least, right? So he wants to be like these other people, and he's not happy with himself. He's not happy about himself, right? He basically says that he's least contented with what he most enjoys. When you're contented with something, right, you're happy with that something. He's not happy with what he does, right? So he's not a happy person. He's in this kind of like sort of like a depressing state of mind, right? He wants to be like other people. But then we see a change here. When he says happily I think on thee, who do you think he's referring to here? Happily I think on thee. Thee just means you. Who do you think he's talking to? Go ahead.
God.
That's an interesting idea.
Or, like,
What makes you say that? What evidence in the poem makes you say that?
Like, I don't really know. Like, I feel like he's happy, like, thinking that, like, God made him, like, the way he is for a purpose.
That's a very interesting interpretation, and that interpretation has been put forth. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with the idea that God, it says 2 lines down about singing things that haven't skated, so it's
Excellent, excellent. So there starts to be like a religious connotation toward the end of the poem, right? At first, he says that he cries to heaven, and heaven doesn't listen to him, right? My bootless cries. Bootless just means useless, right? So he says he cries to heaven, heaven doesn't hear him. But toward the end of the poem, he says that the love, the sweet love that he remembers, makes him sing hymns at heaven's gate, right? So there is the possibility that he is referring to God. Wonderful. In the last 2 lines, there's a shift, a massive shift. What is that shift? What's going on there? Go ahead.
Like, the entire poem of Chocolate is, like, creepy, and it's, like, dark. He's very sad. And the last 2 lines, it's kind of like he starts to feel happy.
Yeah, wonderful. So what you have in sonnets, in the sonnet form, usually, you have this shift in the last 2 lines, where the first 12 lines have a certain meaning, and then in the last two lines, not necessarily the last two lines, it can be like the last 4 lines or the last 6 lines, you have like this massive shift in the meaning. Here, the shift is that although he's unhappy, right? Although he's not happy with himself, remembering the love of, maybe it's God, maybe it's the person he's in love with, maybe it's a friend, you know, it can be any of a number of things, right? We're not really sure who it is because he's not specific about it. But whoever it is, right, remembering this person makes him so happy that he'd rather remember this person than what? Then I scorn for what?
Kings.
Yeah. So he'd rather have this person in his life and remember this person's love than be a king, right? Than change his state with kings. It's more important to him than wealth. He wants to have this sort of person in his life, right? This person is keeping him happy. It's his one source of happiness. Okay. There are a lot of interpretations as to what the sonnets are actually talking about. Shakespeare's sonnets, he wrote a bunch of poems, and there are theories as to who he wrote these poems for, but nothing has been proven definitively. We're not exactly sure who they're for. There have been, you know, religious interpretations. Some people have interpreted it as being maybe like some kind of deity. Some people say it's a lover. Some people say it's a friend. We're not really sure. Some people say it's all made up, right? Some people say it's all just like you know, imaginary. Okay, so I have 5 questions for you guys. I'd like you guys to answer these questions in 1 to 2 sentences per question. How many minutes do you think you will need for that? 10 minutes? Let's do...
No way.
How long do you think?
I think they'll need 5 minutes tops.
5?
Yes.
Let's do 5, yeah.
I'm gonna go on GoGuardian though to make sure that we're all using our Chromebooks for good and not using them.
So why would we share a doc?
Number 2, it says main thing was 3 things he wishes he had. I don't remember the poem.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for bringing that up. Is that okay with you guys? Can you see?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for the, yeah. You have the poem right there. What number are you guys on right now? Math 4, grade 4.
Wait, which one's like 13?
Line 13 would be for the ISP level members such well grades. That's 13, and that's 14. So guys, for line numbers. That should make it a little easier to follow the line numbers. Maybe 1 more minute?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's get to it. So, what do you think the speaker means by with what I most enjoy contented least? So when you're contented with something, you're happy with that something, right? This is kind of a paradox. And there are a few paradoxes in this poem, right? There are a few things in this poem that seem like contradictions, but they're really not. So how can you be unhappy with something you enjoy doing? Go ahead.
Like, wait, so wasn't the question like with what doesn't it mean like I enjoy stuff like that, like doesn't have like a lot of meaning, like isn't that what it's supposed to mean?
So what he's saying is he's not happy with what he enjoys, right? With what I most enjoy, I'm least happy. How can you be unhappy if you enjoy doing something? Right? That kind of seems like a paradox, right? It doesn't seem like it makes sense. But think about a scenario where you might be unhappy doing something that you really enjoy doing. Go ahead.
Like, just for an example, like, people, like, if they, let's just say, like, smoke or vape or whatever, something like that, like, they could enjoy it, but they don't want to do it.
That's a phenomenal answer. Yeah, that's a really good explanation. So it might be something that you enjoy doing, but you're not happy that you're doing that thing because you depend on something that you don't want to depend on. That's fantastic. Go ahead.
Like sometimes you compare yourself to other people and how like
Yes.
you end up feeling is just like worse.
Yes. Yeah. So you say that you enjoy like playing soccer, right? You're probably never gonna be as good as like Messi, right, or Ronaldo or something. But you're still like you enjoy doing it, but you're not happy that you're not gonna be that good, right? You might want to be the best. You might want to be really good at something. but you might not enjoy, you might enjoy doing that thing, but you're not happy that you can't be better doing that thing. Go ahead.
I think like in this case, he is thinking about like someone or something that he loves, but it like hurts because he doesn't have that thing.
So he enjoys something that's absent, right? So in that case, you might want to do something or enjoy something that you don't have. Go ahead.
Like, he just does this to like be on a show for others, so like people see like he's happy, but then like when people leave, he's like not happy with what he's doing, kind of.
All these are phenomenal exercises. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that maybe he used to enjoy these activities, but
Yes.
they don't give him any satisfaction anymore, because he says that he fell into a depression, he didn't, so it would probably change his views.
Wonderful, wonderful. All fantastic. Keep that phrase in mind, right? That phrase is important as you try to understand and interpret the rest of the poem. Okay. What does the speaker wish he had? What does he want to have that he doesn't have? Go ahead. Yes.
I think he said friend
Mm-hmm.
or like a purpose, and it was like a man's heart, but I don't really know.
Yeah, that's great. Go ahead.
Like he says he wants to like get the bright day rising, and like I think that means like he wants to like watch like what God had created and how like God like allows him to like wake up during the day.
Go ahead.
I think he like wishes that he had someone else's feet because he doesn't like how his is turning out right now.
Yeah. Have you guys ever had like a really bad day, right? And somebody else was having
Yes, I have.
and somebody else was having a good day, and you're like, I wish I was having a good day. I wish I could be like that person, right? We've all had days like that, right? Where you just wish, you could just be at the beach or not have to, I don't know, go to school, go to work, whatever. You're just not having a great time. You're going through an argument with somebody, it might be like a family thing, or you're fighting with a friend. This can happen, right? This is kind of what he's talking about, right? He wishes that he could be like these other people who have these things that he does not have. But he also wishes that he could have that state of mind, right? It's not just about having things, it's about being in a certain state of mind, right? Because you can be happy having less, and you can be miserable having everything, right? What he wants to be is to be happy. But there's only one thing that really makes him happy, and what's that? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say like it says that he wants that man's scope. And scope is also like how you look at things. Like he wishes that he could not like be so negative.
Yeah. Because by having that person's sense of purpose, he might be happier. That's right. That's absolutely right. Okay. We'll wrap up. So he uses this metaphor of a lark. Haply I think on thee, and then my state, like the lark at break of day arising from sullen earth. Why a lark? Yeah.
Well, because in the line before that, he talks about how like he's kind of becoming a bit more happy with his state, and then so I feel like because like the night kind of symbolizes bad and sad things,
Yes.
and the day kind of symbolizes good and happy things. So like dawn's kind of like breaking from the sad things to the happy things, and that's what's like kind of happening in the line above.
Phenomenal. So we have this move from night to day, right? But there's also like a vertical move. What does the bird do? What does the bird symbolize? Yes, the bird flies, right? The bird goes which way? Up. Yeah. So that symbolizes his waking up from this dark place, right? This sort of like depressive state into a happier place. That's right. So you have all these things going on, right? It's one poem, but there's all these things going on, all this movement, all this energy. This is why with a poem like this, you have to read it a few times to kind of get all the meanings, because there's so many meanings. What change occurs in the last two lines? How does it end? Good note, bad note.
The last two lines, very strange. They move from like being really gloomy and really
Mhm.
dark to being more hopeful and happy.
What's a word in the poem that he repeats multiple times? That's also in that last line. Go ahead. Yes, the word state. Now, uses the word state 3 times in this poem. I all alone be weak, my outcast state in the beginning. Happily I think on thee, and then my state, right, in line 10. And then in line 14, and then I scorn to change my state with kings. Why do you think he harps on this word? Why does this word get repeated 3 times? That's a lot. State. Yes.
Well, I think it's using those 3 pieces specifically is because in the beginning it's talking about how like upset he is with the state, then in line 10 it's talking about how he's kind of becoming more happy with the state, and then the last line is about how he's like fully like happy and content with the state that he's in.
Yeah. So you have the same movement, right? The same movement outward. At first the state is bad, right? It's outcast. And then the state gets better because he thinks about, this, whoever that is or whatever that is, right? And then at the end of the poem, his state has become so great that he would rather be in his state than be a king, right? He would rather remember this person than be a very rich person, right? So the state doesn't really refer to like a material state, right? It doesn't refer to how much money you have or how much stuff you own, right? It's how you feel about things. It's how you feel about the world. And what he wants is to feel good about the world, and he feels good about the world when he remembers this person that he's talking about, that he's addressing. Phenomenal work, guys. This is not an easy poem, it's not easy work, but we made our way through it, and I think you guys did an awesome job just sort of understanding this and picking this apart. Is there anything here that kind of like spoke to you guys personally in this poem? What do you guys do when you're having a bad day?
I'd like to contribute and share my life with all of you and hope that you guys will share your life with me. I think it is so easy to like go through your day and feel like everybody else is having like the easiest, best time, and your life by comparison is like just not great and unpleasant. I know Shakespeare wasn't talking about it, but I think social media like has a huge effect on that. And in particular, like, and you guys know my stance on social media generally, which is like, I'm not a fan for a lot of reasons. Ask my children, they're not allowed to have it. I only gave it Snapchat because their camp requested it so that they could communicate with campers and counselors. I think I see that in middle school and high school kids. If you are on Snap, like when you have a location on, do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, it really feels awful if you see a bunch of other people at a location where you're not, and like nobody talks about it with you or nobody mentioned it with you. Like, it's easy to bemoan your state with these bootless cries, and like, what does give you solace? So I am gonna open that up using a daily dose spoken word. What has provided you guys with solace on days that are like that? And I'm gonna pass it back to Mr. Bobak.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think like when you're having a bad day, everyone tells you like you're overreacting. But I think that the poem it does describe how you feel, and like because sometimes even if it's like because of one thing, you still kind of feel like that.
Yeah.
You might seem like it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's great. That's such a good point. People are like, you're overreacting, it's not that bad, but your feelings are valid, right? Like, everybody's feelings are valid, and nobody can tell you that what you're feeling or what you're going through is not a big deal, because for you, it is, right? And the world might seem like it's ending for you, even though for somebody else, it's not. It's always valid. And that's the purpose of poetry, right? That's the beautiful thing about poetry, is that, it shows you that other people went through the same things, right? And they express those things through beautiful language. Go ahead, I think you had your
I just feel like this poem kind of talks about, like in the beginning, he's kind of like depressed, like he's not really sure like what to do with his life anymore. He feels like he's not getting. But then he kind of just realized, like, I feel like once you're in like a sad state, like after a time you kind of realize like all the stuff that you do have. Like I feel like when you're sad, it takes you to like kind of have a moment to be like, oh, like the little things I'm happy with them,
Yeah. Also, a lot of the time, when you're in a bad state of mind, it's like the end of the world, right? You feel like nothing's gonna get better, right? No way it's gonna get better. What this poem says is that yes, things can get better, and things will get better. There's always something that you can look forward to. There's always something. There's always, light on the other end of the tunnel. And for different people, that's different things. But there are always things that are going to bring you joy. Go ahead, yeah.
I think like the lesson of the poem is that, like, you just need to change like your state of mind and like how you're looking at this situation. Because like before, he was like, oh no, I don't have this thing that I love, and like it's really depressing. But then at the end, he realizes that he still has the memory of it, and that's what's most important.
Yeah, that's right. So the good thing is going to be there, whether it's a memory, whether it's going to come on the other end. It's still going to be there.
I want to thank Mr. Bobak for being here. I expect you would all thank him as you leave. I want to give you a gentle reminder that you are reading pages 49 to 65. I have to say, those of you who already did it, there's a I'm not even going to call it a homework assignment because I don't think it actually takes that much effort. You guys are, it's on. You guys, I asked you to post a private comment to me on Google Classroom with a question that you have about the text. I've been so impressed with your questions. Like, wow, you guys really brought it. Thank you guys. On your way out, because the bell is going to ring momentarily.